Being a professional artist is synonymous with freedom. When we think about being able to utilize our talents as our zone of genius, how we create revenue, how we truly build the life we'd always imagined, we think to ourselves, this is going to make me my own boss. This is going to create freedom. This is what's going to position me to have a different life and a different outcome than everyone else. And it's absolutely accurate, unless you are an artist who are in a field like tattooing or photography or even commissioning paintings, and that is strictly what you prioritize. Now, when this is the case, being booked out creates golden handcuffs, and here's why. Because eventually you get to a point where you are no longer in control of the things you get to create. So inevitably you are pouring out of your cup into other people for their expectations, not setting your boundaries up to be able to be the one who's truly creating the brand who is going to relate and resonate with the clients that you can serve best. I have done this for years. I've been a tattoo artist for going on 22 years now. I've done commission paintings for about 12. And I always find myself in a position to feel completely burnt out, completely bogged down, and just uncertain of why everything is not going the way I want it to. And I've come to the realization it's because I give too much of myself, too much of my schedule to other people without finding different paths of income or different paths of expression for me to be not only the best artist I possibly can be, but the most successful one at that. I've been able to create a magnificent life for me and my family. And I did that through rules and through boundaries that I would not cross when it came to clientele acquisition. Now, a lot of artists want to believe that they are free, that they are pirates, that they are truly in control of their outcome. But what winds up happening is they find themselves in a position to still feel like they are chasing their tails. And a lot of the time, it's because of scavenger mindset. So if you truly want to be able to have total control of your life, total control of your outcome, and still have a scalable business so that you are generating the revenue that is going to not only provide for you, your future, and your family, then you're going to need to know a few things. Your brand is going to be the most powerful asset to your arsenal when it comes to being the artist that your quality clients are going to look for. You need to know the difference between being booked up and being booked out, because being booked out means that your schedule is packed. And that does not mean it's with all of the right things. Being booked up means you're selective. It means that even though your days may be jam-packed, they are jam-packed with things that are going to inevitably fill your cup and charge your battery, not things that you're going to have to pour into, inevitably feeling like you've given all of yourself away. And you are going to need to know that you need a proper schedule in place to ensure the fact that you are consistently giving yourself the time and the attention that you need, your business the time and the attention that it needs, and some sort of downtime to be able to recharge and refill your battery, all right? So one struggle that a lot of the artists that I work with mostly fall into is the urgency of clientele acquisition, the urgency of attention. And when you're always urgent to get more, you're being a lot less selective of the people that you get to work with. Sure, it may feel really good to say you're booked up for X amount of time, doing X amount of tattoos, but what does that really solve when it comes to your creation being an actual amount? Because we all have so much creativity we can give to any given thing. So when you really find yourself in a position to just dumping your creativity into everything else and everyone else, but your life winds up getting neglected, your passions and your purpose don't get the time and the attention that they deserve, eventually you're going to realize that you were in a position where you were really just running on resources at best. So my recommendation to all of this is don't worry so much about how much safety you can feel in the duration of time you were booked out, but focus more about being selective on how you were booking up. So when you really start working on the personal brand we had discussed in the beginning, all of a sudden you start to realize that you're attracting better quality clients who you can relate to and who already see the value in the art that you produce. As a tattoo artist, I find myself always getting messages from people who are just like, I love your work, I would love you to do this thing that has nothing to do with what I've seen you do. Would you please do my dad's handwriting for me? Now, obviously, I want to be able to serve as many people as I can because statistically conversions is 33%. So the more new stuff you take on, the more likely it is to convert client acquisition to client retention. Yes, I get that. However, the more frequently you do this, the more time you need to dedicate to preparing tattoos that don't fill your cup or really start to charge your battery and give you excitement, or the things that kind of convolute and distort what your brand truly is, the less likely it will be that your brand can consistently break through glass ceilings to be able to move you into new creative elements and sources of income. So, what I've done really well over the course of my years is design my client avatar. Now, this isn't only for me to know who I need to be communicating with and how to communicate with them, but it also positions me to be able to be very clear about the art that I do, also the art that I just don't. You know, there are plenty of artists who can service these people, and I am not it, not because I'm above it, but simply because I only have so much creativity stockpiled that I can put into things. There's only so much creativity that I can allow to flow through me into these projects. So I want to make sure that I'm very resourceful when it comes to how I'm doing my output of that creativity. The next thing that I do is I ensure the fact that the way that I present myself is going to be authentic, consistent, but still scalable. How often do you see people on social media who are just doing a rebrand every quarter? They're doing the hood rat thug life, they're doing the watches, the cars, they're doing the plant mom thing the next quarter, then they're doing the business entrepreneur the next, and they're doing the chasing the trends the next. The reality is, until you really know who it is you are and how it is you live your best life genuinely, you'll never be able to target a client that you can build a know, like, and trust factor. And whether you are a sculptor, a photographer, a painter, a tattoo artist, or even a musician, if you don't know genuinely who you are and where your creativity truly comes from and what fills your creative cup, you are never going to be able to keep and maintain growth in your clientele acquisition. So first, we've gone over the personal brand, we've gone over the client avatar. Now we're going over the authenticity and how we do our output. So my rule of thumb is usually only create content while I'm creating other things, so that I know I'm in my environment, I'm in my zone of genius, and I'm in that flow, so that people can not only see me at my best when I feel my most authentic, but I'm also not hyper focused on just sitting in front of a camera, just being awkward. You know what I mean? Because that's pretty common. Artists are not prone to being great public speakers, or they are so good at it, they will talk themselves out of being able to convert people or to be relatable, because their minds work at such a rapid rate that they can't stay on one topic and be consistent or do it in a short enough time frame. It's so easy to give somebody 10 things that you think are valuable as hell, when this person that's listening can only keep up with one of those topics at a time. You'll notice that in the content that I create here long form. It's going to be really hard for me to stay on one specific topic because my mind is creative as hell. I will do the ooh squirrel thing where I just start chasing the next thing that pops into my head. And as a new topic comes up, all of a sudden you see me veering a little bit. So I'm going to do my best to ensure the fact that we can stay on the path to be able to give you the most value. But, bear with me because I just rip. This isn't scripted. I don't get this all like, these are my 10 favorite steps for you, because then that's just unauthentic. So what you really need to focus on if you really want to break out of the golden handcuffs, and if you want to quit worrying about the scarcity mindset that requires you to be booked out, not booked up, you need to know who it is you are. You need to know what it is you can create and produce for the most valuable client. You need to know who that most valuable client is. What are their character types, gender, income range? What are their core values? What are their interests? All of these things, they matter because it makes it easier for you to be able to speak to and to be able to communicate with, not only through your spoken word, but also the way that you produce your content and the way that you create your art, because you don't want to have to change your art to be able to service a person, you want your art to speak so sincerely to that person that they are willing to give you the creative freedom that you require to be able to live in that zone of genius. The cool part about all of this is it genuinely gives you freedom. It allows you to not have to work as much. It allows you to be able to acquire more income and to create more art. It also insists that you leave time for you to develop and to be able to spend more time with the people you love and live the life that you had dreamed of, so that you don't feel like at the end of all of it, you have a wish I would have story to tell. So I truly hope that any of this brought you value. If you have any questions, by all means, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to continuously put these out as frequently as possible. I want to be able to build a platform that's not just filler, that's not just noise, and it's not just another tattoo podcast. Tattooing is becoming big business. All right. We've called it an industry for so long. It's inevitably going to occur that it becomes a legitimate one. So we are there, and this is it. So if you don't want to feel like a Starbucks barista with a superiority complex, and you want to feel like you were standing outside of the saturated box, building a legitimate business that is going to help you create a legitimate life that you had always imagined, then stay tuned, because I'm going to give you all the tips, all the tricks, and all the insight that I have with my 22 years of experience here.